Did you hear that there's something that was found in deep space and it's heading towards Earth?
The James Webb Telescope had spotted an armada of alien ships heading toward Earth.
Is it aliens? Well, according to the story, whatever this is, allegedly looks like this city-sized alien ship, some say in the shape of a cube, or even an armada of tightly clustered alien ships that were going in one direction.
Oh my god. Aliens exist. Confirmed breaking news. I didn't even know how to make this video. Basically, a high-ranking general or some whistleblower, but we think it's a general, went to Congress and just were like, hey, I don't want this anymore. This is freaking me out. Here's the entire operating procedure on how the Pentagon and Department of Justice, who has this very secret program called Immaculate Constellation, goes out and retrieves fallen spacecraft.
I'm back, it's your boy FITTIE, and today we're going to be taking a look at these creepy TikTok videos. I don't know what's going on, bro, but in this month of October, there's been so much UFO stuff that the government apparently has been keeping from us. Make sure to watch to the end of this video because it gets absolutely insane. If you guys want to see my YouTube setup, click the shop icon. And if you like the chain, check the link down in the description.
For the first time ever, people have successfully communicated during their dreams. So the way that this was able to happen is scientists successfully induced two different people into a lucid dream. Now, during this lucid dream, both of the people sleeping were able to successfully exchange messages with each other. Now, this was able to be done with specially designed equipment, and it brings us one step closer to possibly having multiplayer dreams. Now, the way this whole process worked was actually really interesting. So both of the participants were sleeping at their homes, having their brainwaves and some other data tracked. Now, when it was detected that one of the participants entered a lucid dream, a random word was generated and sent to the participant via earbuds. The participant then repeated the word in their dream, and then repeating this word was then tracked and stored in a server. After this, the second participant entered a lucid dream. They then received the message stored in the server from the first participant. And when they woke up, they confirmed the word and proved to the world for the first time in history that we can actually communicate during our dreams.
Nah, that's insane. The only problem was that they had too much outside interference, but the fact that that's even slightly possible proves that there's something definitely just bigger than what we can see in true reality.
Guys, I'm here to give you also some interesting facts. Here we go. This is an Techie. It's a famous breed of riding horse that's known for its beauty and shining metallic coat. Unlike most members of the cat family, tigers actually enjoy water. They can swim well and can be found soaking in streams and pools of water to cool off. In 2008, it was discovered that a 56-year-old crime reporter named Vlado Teneski, who was reporting on gruesome killings that were occurring, was actually the serial killer himself. This is the original Ronald McDonald from 1963. That's worth a nightmare. When a person lies, they experience an increase in temperature around the nose. This is known as the Pinocchio effect. There's a micronation that's located in the state of Nevada called Molossia that was founded by a man named Kevin Baugh that consists entirely of just his house, front, and backyard. Here are some more amazing facts that you didn't know. In 1997, a 17-year-old merino sheep named Shrek in New Zealand ran away and hid in a cave for 7 years. When he was finally found in 2004, it had gone unsheared for so long that it had accumulated 60 pounds of wool on its body, enough to make 20 suits, earning it celebrity status in the country. There's a town in Norway called Hell that literally freezes over every winter. In 1997, there was a short-lived cable television network called the Puppy Channel, and all that it did for 3 years was broadcast footage of puppies playing. A Brooklyn-based artist named Zaria Foreman became famous for only using her fingers to create mind-blowingly realistic paintings of icebergs. The AT&T Stadium in Texas, formerly known as the Cowboy Stadium, uses more electricity in a single day than all of Liberia. Mike the Headless Chicken was a famous chicken from 1945 that was beheaded by a farmer for his dinner, except that he continued to live for an additional 18 months.
Facts that will blow your mind. There is enough DNA in the average person's body to stretch from the sun to Pluto and back 17 times. The average human body carries 10 times more bacterial cells than human cells. It takes a photon up to 40,000 years to travel from the core of the sun to its surface, but only 8 minutes to travel the rest of the way to Earth. At over 2,000 kilometers long, the Great Barrier Reef is the largest living structure on Earth. There are 8 times as many atoms in a teaspoonful of water as there are teaspoonfuls of water in the Atlantic Ocean. In an entire lifetime, the average person walks the equivalent of 5 times around the world. There are actually over 24 states of matter that we know of. Grasshoppers have ears in their bellies. Killer whales are actually dolphins. You can't taste food without saliva. Follow and comment below which fact blew your mind.
Nobody would have ever believed that 2 weeks after their beautiful wedding ceremony, she would be found brutally murdered. 32-year-old Melissa Jubain and Brian Gentero got married on August 24th of this year, literally less than 2 months ago. Melissa and Brian were doing long distance. She was a nurse in Oregon and Brian worked and lived in Washington State. Their plan was that once they got married, Melissa would move to Washington and be with Brian and start their new life together. But unfortunately, that would never happen because on September 4th at approximately 10:18 a.m., police were called to Melissa's house to do a welfare check when she failed to show up to her job. Melissa was scheduled to work that morning at the hospital, and when she didn't show up, her co-workers knew there was something wrong because she was very punctual and reliable. Police first noticed that Melissa's car was still parked where she usually leaves it, meaning that on that morning she didn't even make it to her car. After looking for Melissa for days, she was finally found, and her neighbor, Bryce Sherbert, was arrested. They found crucial evidence which links Bryce to Melissa's murder, but they still have not revealed details about that. Now, Melissa and Bryce lived on the same floor in that apartment, and it was stated that he was obsessing over her for some time and just decided to take her life. I hope they come out with more details on this case, but for now, I did create an entire video going over all the details. If you want to check it out, it's on my YouTube.
These are the saddest and most wholesome graves in the entire world. This grieving mother added a sandbox to her little boy's grave who had passed away unexpectedly, and now his older brother plays in it every single day. This is the gravesite of a boy who died of an incurable illness in 1865. A few hours before he died, he told his dad he was scared of death because he knew they were going to bury him underground with no lights. So the parents honored his wish and put a window in his tomb. After her daughter died of yellow fever in 1892, a grieving mother wanted to make sure that her little girl was never alone. You see, her daughter was absolutely terrified of storms, so she constructed a staircase that goes directly down into her tomb. Every time there was a thunderstorm, that mother would go to the graveyard and sit with her daughter for hours, comforting her in her grave.
Crazy facts that will blow your mind. P2.33. The ocean is the most popular place to dispose of murder victims, and it holds more human remains than all of the graveyards on the earth combined. When you look up at the blue sky and see those white dots flying around, you're actually seeing your own white blood cells. When a person cries and the first drop of tears comes from the right eye, it's happiness. If it is from the left, it's pain.
In one of our last videos, they literally told us that if our white blood cells, which basically connects to our immune system, knows we have eyes, it would attack our eyes. So what does he mean by when we look up in the sun, we see our own white blood cell?
One of the world's scariest animals just got a whole lot scarier, and Planet of the Apes is slowly becoming non-fiction, because apparently chimpanzees are out here murking gorillas. Scientists in 2021 witnessed a troop of chimpanzees basically jumping a family of gorillas. And when I say gang, we're talking about almost 30 chimps pressing a family of 5. Keep in mind a silverback can weigh up to 400 pounds and could probably bench press your car. And according to witnesses, the silverback was eating chimps left and right like they were paper mache. But eventually the chimps overwhelmed the bigger silverback and even kidnapped a baby gorilla. I'm not going to tell you exactly what they did, but that family of 5 became a party of 4. And it wasn't even the last time, because later that year, scientists watched the same group of chimpanzees do the same exact thing. Square up with a family of gorillas, kidnapped a baby, and erase its name from the gorilla census. And it's not like we didn't know chimps were about that. They often hunt bush babies and vervet monkeys, and we've even seen them use weapons like spears to do it. But it's one thing to hunt something that weighs like 5 Skittles. Going gorillas is another tier of Black Air Force activity, which is why I'd rather be locked in a room with a jaguar than a chimp. Cause at least a jaguar gonna make it quick.
And me personally, I'd rather be locked in a cage with none.
Disgusting facts you won't believe are true. PT 17. Many gummy candies are made from pigskin, cattle bones, and cattle hide. Hot dogs can contain traces of hair, skin, nails, and different meats. Canned mushrooms contain over 20 or more maggots of any size per 100 grams.
I don't eat canned mushrooms and I don't eat hot dogs. I know a lot of people like hot dogs. I don't know, hot dogs to me is weird because in my head, that's just mystery meat.
These girls disappeared on the way to a party and were found 45 years later. On May 29th of 1971, several college students from South Dakota decided they were going to have a party to celebrate that classes had ended. Pamela Jackson and Cheryl Miller were a part of this group and decided they were going to go with their classmates. The two hopped into Cheryl's car, and before the party, they stopped at church, and then they went to go visit Cheryl's grandmother, who was in the hospital. After that, they met up with two guys, and they were going to the party as well, and they decided that they were going to follow them behind their car. However, when those guys were driving, they accidentally missed an exit, so when they got out, they noticed that there was no cars behind them, so they figured the girls decided to do something else, and they weren't going to go to the party, so those guys went to the party without them. Once Pamela and Cheryl's family did not hear from them or see them, they reported their disappearance to the police. During the following weeks, both law enforcement and volunteers were searching for the girls near the Missouri River, but they never found a trace of them. In 2007, a man named David Lycan, who was serving a sentence, claimed that he had unalived Cheryl and Pamela. However, David had lied about this and the charges were dropped. On September 23rd of 2013, the case would take a complete turn when a fisherman was fishing and he saw two whales coming up from the water. At that time, the water level was pretty low because of a drought, and it was easier for the car to be seen. The car was removed from the water, and they could see in the front seat were the skeletons of two bodies. Thanks to the DNA, they could confirm that it was Pamela and Cheryl, who had been missing for 42 years. With the evidence that the police had, they were able to come up with the conclusion that the two girls suffered from a car accident. Pamela's father passed away at the age of 102, just 5 days before finding her body, and sadly, he will never know what had happened to her.
Animals that became serial killers, Part 2. The sloth bear of Mysore. In 1957, the sloth bear of Mysore mauled over 30 humans and took the lives of 12. The sloth bear's killing spree didn't stop, and the bear just had a desire for killing. The killer sloth bear went missing in late 1957, after the killings took place. What do you think ever happened to the sloth bear of Mysore?
They probably try to run up on someone and someone's just like,
Gruesome facts you didn't know, part 240. In early Roman times, the male head of a Roman family possessed the right to life and death. He had the legal right to execute his children, sell them into slavery, or abandon unwanted or deformed newborns in the forest to die of exposure. Roughly 30,000 people, both children and adults, suffer from an amputated finger each year, with doors and power tools being the most common causes. The only satellite crashing into Earth fatality ever recorded in history was in 1961 when a cow in Cuba was struck by a metal fragment. In 1966, Lester Eubanks was sentenced to life without parole for the murder and attempted rape of 14-year-old Mary Ellen Diener. After 7 years behind bars, he was considered a model inmate and was granted special privileges. One of those was a temporary leave to go Christmas shopping at a Columbus mall on December 7th. The child murderer vanished, never returned to the pickup spot, and was never seen or heard from again.
SpongeBob night. One fall off. Liam, come here. Liam, right now. What is happening? Okay, I'm calling your mom. Just stay right here. Cheese. Cheese. What you doing? What you see? What? What you see? Hi. Who are you saying hi to? Who are you saying hi to? Dude, you need to stop that. You're freaking me out. Come on.
Here are some things that are illegal to say out loud. So this is for educational purposes only. So you can't say, and I quote, let's organize a militia to overthrow the government. Illegal. You also can't say, and I quote, I'm going to bomb that government building. Very illegal. You also can't mention having a bomb on a commercial aircraft, obviously. You can't say, and I quote, I'm going to steal from that store and hurt anyone who tries to stop me, so don't do that. You can't say, and I quote, I'll make sure that immigrant family never feels safe in this neighborhood. That's a no-no. You can't say, and I quote, I'll release everyone's private information online unless they pay me. Of course. You also can't say, and I quote, I want to distribute, insert illegal product here, because I think it's harmless. Nor can you say, and I quote, I will pay someone to assault my neighbor. And finally, you can't say, and I quote, I hope someone shoots the president, because that's very illegal. So don't say these things.
Nah, that video is hilarious. Like, that actually made me burst out laughing. But like, it's funny because he's saying, oh, you can't say all this, but like, what happened to our First Amendment, right? US?
That will blow your mind. The world population has more than doubled since John F. Kennedy was president. Black teeth were a sign of wealth in 18th century England. There's a fence in Australia longer than the distance between Seattle and Miami. Almonds are part of the peach family. The longest time between two twins being born is 87 days. A jockey won a horse race while dead. Bananas are Walmart's best-selling item. Scotland's national animal is the unicorn. May 29th is Put a Pillow on Your Fridge Day. Follow and comment below which fact blew your mind.
Disturbing facts about the human body you wish you never knew. Because your brain has no pain receptors, brain surgery is sometimes performed while the patient is awake. Like this woman who was playing the violin while getting brain surgery. Now, everybody knows that feeling you get on a roller coaster when it feels like your stomach is turning. But do you actually know that feeling is caused by all your organs moving around your body? Next up, did you know you can break a rib while sneezing? This might sound fake, but it's very possible. So next time you sneeze, you could break a rib. Finally, a human head remains conscious for around 20 seconds after being decapitated. I can just imagine what your mind is thinking while your head is laying on the floor off your body.
I feel like with the decapitation one, I don't think your mind's really thinking about anything specific. I feel like it's just confused because of the lack of oxygen and everything else that is just lacking at the moment because it's off your body. So it's probably just like in a state of confusion, like what the fuck. And if your brain doesn't have pain receptors, so then how do you explain headaches?
Mind-blowing tech facts. Did you know the first ever mobile phone weighed over 2 kilograms? Your smartphone today has more power than the computers that NASA used to put a man on the moon. The average person checks their smartphone 58 times per day. We all know that switching phones or losing data can be an absolute nightmare. Luckily, I found Wondershare Dr. Phone. It makes transferring data, unlocking phones, and recovering lost files super easy.
Oh my god. Aliens exist. Confirmed breaking news. I didn't even know how to make this video. Basically, a high-ranking general or some whistleblower, but we think it's a general, went to Congress and just were like, hey, I don't want this anymore. This is freaking me out. Here's the entire operating procedure on how the Pentagon and Department of Justice, who has this very secret program called Immaculate Constellation, goes out and retrieves fallen spacecraft. Congress was like, they crash a lot? Yeah, they do. And well, we had to make a team to go and pick up the spacecraft so that it wouldn't cause any panic. Congress says, how come we didn't know about this? And the guy, the general, was like, hey, basically the Pentagon wanted me to tell you that you guys are very untrustworthy and you guys are always on TV. And Congress was like, yeah, that makes sense. We do talk a lot on TV. So then Congress was like, well, let's go talk to the Department of Justice. Department of Justice was like, no, there is no such thing as Immaculate Constellation being as one of our programs. And Congress was like, we never told you the name. So you just confirmed that it exists because how would you know it's called Immaculate Constellation? And they're like, oh, damn, that's a good one. They literally outed themselves on a rookie mistake. And here's the kicker. They're not even aliens. They're not from another planet, I mean. They're from here. Have fun down that rabbit hole. It's probably a whole new species.
Well, you know, Neil deGrasse said something that I watched the other day, and it personally stands out to me. He said, if aliens have the technology to travel light years to Earth, why the hell would they get to Earth and then crash?
Some facts you didn't know, part 245. During the live broadcast of a Japanese game show in 2008, the host Tetsuchi Yanagita was encouraged to join in on the game. Upon falling in the shallow, muddy waters, he horrifically broke his neck, which left him paralyzed from the neck down. Completely unaware of his injuries, the contestants thought he was just playing a prank on them. They proceeded to push his face into the waters while he struggled to stay alive. When serial killer Ed Kemper cut off his mother's head, he placed it on a shelf and screamed at it for over an hour. He then cut out her tongue and larynx and tried to put them in the garbage disposal. But it was unable to break down the tough vocal cords, and he found this rather ironic. He said that seemed appropriate, as much as she and yelled and screamed at me over all those years. A fire started in Chicago on October 8th of 1871 and burned down almost the entire city in just 2 days. 300 people lost their lives and over 100,000 were left homeless. With most of the city being constructed out of wood, a 4-month drought, as well as firefighters being sent to the wrong location at the start of the fire, it became known as the Great Chicago Fire of 1871.
Jason was literally a special needs child who literally was bullied his entire life. and was pushed into a lake and drowned by the campers that were supposed to be his fellow comrades. And the camp counselors who were supposed to be watching him weren't even watching him. Instead, they was too busy getting busy in the cabins. And all Jason was trying to do was have a good little fun camp experience. And look where it got him. Bullied and dead. So first of all, can you even blame his mom for going on a killing spree and trying to take out everybody at the camp? Then apparently Jason didn't even die, or he probably just got resurrected through the water or something. The only person who ever really cared about him, the only person he knew that actually was concerned about his well-being, he sees her get decapitated right in front of him by one of the counselors that was supposed to be watching him before he drowned. It's like, at this point, how can you people really just think that he's just this badass evil killer guy? Bro, Jason is a child, a traumatized child in a hulking monstrous mass of a body. This is a child with massive trust issues, and he's constantly killing people because he thinks, oh, they're gonna try to kill me first anyway. He's still in a childlike way of thinking, so he also thinks everybody around him is just like the kids that bullied him and the camp counselors that weren't watching him and killed his mom. So now at any sign of human presence, he just wants to fucking annihilate you, so you'll leave him the fuck alone. Like, bro, if y'all really still think Jason is evil, bro, I don't know what to tell you. Something's wrong with y'all, man. Y'all ain't got no type of perspective.
Damn, this dude actually made me kind of feel bad for him, because I was thinking like, damn, Jason, why are you going around hurting random people? But with that backstory, I guess it kind of makes sense.
Joey was a 23-year-old young man who loved going on walks. One day, Joey was walking around his neighborhood when he noticed a man staring at him, smiling in the distance. And it wasn't just a smile, it was the worst smile you've ever seen. Joey ignored the man and kept walking, but noticed two other people staring and smiling at him. Joey was so confused and thought they were laughing at him, but as he got closer, he noticed the smile on their faces was extremely sinister. At this point, Joey was scared and started walking faster. But things kept getting stranger. Every person Joey walked by was staring at him with a chilling smile on their faces. Joey began to run, but everyone began running after him with the smile still on their faces. As Joey approached his house, a pack of smiling people followed. Joey then woke up in a pool of sweat in his bed. He then turned over to check his phone when he noticed something in the corner of his room. He stared in fear as a man with a smile on his face looked at him.
This woman killed her daughter by feeding her Mountain Dew. Tamara Brooks is a 41-year-old woman from Ohio. In January 2022, her 4-year-old daughter tragically passed away. Tamara and her partner reportedly found their daughter unresponsive on the 21st of January. They rang an ambulance and the child was raced to hospital. She sadly didn't make it. When she was examined post-mortem, it was discovered that she died from severe malnutrition and suffered diabetes-related complications. She had been fed Mountain Dew through a baby bottle, and the child's teeth were actually rotting so badly that she barely had any teeth left. The child had never been taken to a dentist, and Tamara was said to have mixed baby formula with fizzy drinks. Tamara pleaded guilty to involuntary manslaughter and has been sentenced to 9 years in prison. The child's dad, Christopher Hobe, has also been charged with his daughter's death. He will be sentenced next month. Horrifically, this is not Tamara's only child, and certainly not the only child to have suffered in her care. Her son fell into a coma when he was 4 years old from undiagnosed diabetes. Tamara then failed to take him to follow-up appointments with doctors.
I think we can all agree that sugary things give you diabetes now, because a kid that young should not have diabetes unless she got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, which is like the one that you're born with. But how could both of them just have diabetes like that? I mean, I'm not sure. Maybe it just runs in the family, but all I know is like, I'm pretty sure she got that because she was drinking all those Mountain Dews probably multiple times a day, destroying her organs.
You ever heard about like creepypastas and shit like that?
Of course, yeah.
So there was a 13-year-old boy, right, who moved into a new town with his mother. He was used to getting bullied and stuff, like really, really bad and shit. In his new school, whatever, he was still getting bullied. But it got too extreme, bro. Like, these kids were like, that ass hurt this mother. This time it got too crazy to the point where like they lit him on fire and they threw bleach on his face. His eyelids got like up, but he has no eyelids. He basically woke up in the hospital, right? He looked into the mirror and he saw his new face and he just started laughing like manically. Yeah. And he was saying like, I love my new face.
Yeah, that was probably him like literally being at that breaking point and just snapping. Like he was already getting bullied and shit.
And then he purposely carved like a permanent smile on his face.
Is his name Jeff?
Yeah. As soon as you said like bleach on his face and it got fucked up, yeah, Jeff the Killer's face like popped up. But do you think like there's a real life person that was like that? Maybe like their face got destroyed and like they looked at their face and like started laughing because like, yo, I fucking love my face now.
I mean, we know that there are deranged, crazy people.
Yeah,
in the
for
world,
sure.
And a situation like that could literally either make you like completely depressed and sad and want to like just be completely on some. I'm already gonna get looked at as crazy and shit. I might as well just completely envelop that character.
It's basically what he did, and then he ended up one by one started getting revenge on all of them, and he killed them, bro.
You remember the JPEG one?
JPEG?
With the dog?
The smiling dog?
Yeah, cursed picture of the dog. I think it was like a JPEG or like a regular attachment sent to somebody on their laptop, and they just...
Chablis was the manager of a farm that all of his friends worked on, and one day they all got into a very big argument. And a couple days after the argument, these so-called friends did the unthinkable. They all went to where Chablis was at and then kidnapped him and asked him for money from his parents. Chablis' parents ended up giving them money, and his friends, the kidnappers, assured them that Chablis would be home safely by the morning. But that did not happen. They ended up killing Chablis and then cooked his flesh and meat and ate him since Chablis saw their faces. The police interrogated many suspects, and one of them confessed and showed them the area where Chablis was killed. Police searched the area and found Chablis' bone fragments and skull. Yu Mung Chung Marma was arrested as the mastermind behind the murder, and when he was taken to the crime scene, an angry mob of villagers surrounded the police car and pulled him out. They all then savagely lynched him to death. It turns out Yu Mung killed Chablis before even contacting his parents for money, which makes it that much worse. This case is just sickening, and it's crazy what people would do for money, especially to their own friends. May Chablis rest in peace. You did not deserve this at all.
He said he ended him because he saw his face, but he could have just left it at that. He said he ended him and then he ate him. So, what the...
I do have a case about a real life Frogger too. This case is called the Denver Spider-Man. His name was Theodore Conies or Conies. He had a pretty rough childhood too. Doctors would say that he wouldn't live to see 18 because he had like a medical conditions and stuff like that. He was homeless for most of his adult life. So time passes. When he goes to this house from his old friend, his original plan was to just go steal money and steal food. But when he went, like nobody was home and the door was unlocked. And as he was looking through everything, he saw a hole that led to a secret room in the attic. Him being skinny, he fit through the hole. He made himself through the attic, and for the next 5 weeks, he was staying at the crib. And he only went down whenever they were sleeping or whenever they were out. He would only come down to get food and then go back up. Looking like a rat. Within those 5 weeks, on October, he thought that the guy was out, but he was snapping somewhere, and he was going through the fridge making noise, and the guy ended up waking up. A fight ensued. He ended up killing him. But after killing him, instead of fleeing the scene, he just cleaned the murder weapons and went back up to the attic and just stood there. And when the cops arrived, they searched everywhere, but they couldn't find no evidence. And they saw the hole too, but they didn't think a man could fit through there, so they just let it be. And he stood there for the next, I think all the way to July, bro. God damn.
How do niggas not realize things going missing? Things being
my opinion, this is the most notorious place in this entire country. The Ancient Ram Inn. It's in this pit where they've found the skeletal remains of children who were sacrificed.
It's not sort of place I want to live.
It's a foreboding place. It is the most evil house I've had the misfortune to visit.
My father, he was a devout Baptist minister when he moved in. He was attacked by incubus, the sex demon.
Satanic rituals were performed here.
People have been using it for curses.
This place, every time you walk in, I wouldn't spend the night here on my own. It's supposed to be linked to the devil, basically. It's a sex demon.
There, the triangular mark, what they call a witch's mark, to ward off evil spirits. I'm not joking, he possesses people in here. You really have to be careful.
There's reports of a person who was killed by having his face pressed into the open fire.
So that's why I don't live here now. It's more than just a little things moving. It's got this place has got personality.
Gangbang.
What the?
Kissing. There's something's messing with my legs, man.
Why the hell were they in a demon house talking about gangbangs? What the freak?
This is Lucy Letby, a 33-year-old nurse who's just been accused of murdering
7 infants and attempting to kill 10 more. This is what we know so far. Lucy was a nurse at the Countess of Chester Hospital in Chester, England. Dating back to 2015, a doctor at the hospital started noticing unusual and unexplainable things happening in the neonatal unit, such as multiple infants either collapsing or dying. Sometimes this would happen in just the span of a month. During that time, Nurse Lucy would be assigned to the infants and working. But suspicions really didn't start until April of 2016 when a 6-week premature boy referred to as Child M suddenly stopped breathing and collapsed. Doctors spent 25 minutes resuscitating him via CPR and giving him multiple doses of adrenaline. Luckily, he was stabilized and placed on a ventilator. However, the doctor on call noticed bright pink blotches on the infant's torso that would appear and disappear. And once he was stabilized, they completely vanished. It wasn't known at the time, but oxygen had actually been injected into the baby's bloodstream. Lucy was the assigned nurse to take care of him that evening, and she noted that the infant was experiencing symptoms similar to that of the brain being starved of oxygen. But later brain scans determined that that wasn't true. Just hours later, Child M's twin brother, referred to as Child L, also collapsed and started to deteriorate after Nurse Lucy was assigned to him. And like his brother, Child L had also been attacked, but this time he was injected with a dose of insulin. Luckily, both brothers survived, but this prompted a doctor at the hospital to begin an investigation into what was happening. And to his surprise, he discovered multiple infant deaths at the hospital consistent with air embolism dating back to 2015, and Lucy was at the center of it all. Lucy was arrested in 2018, and shortly after, authorities found multiple post-it notes in her home in which she had written things like, quote, "I am evil," and "I killed them on purpose," end quote. Lucy is facing 22 charges and has been accused of killing 7 infants and attempting to kill 10 more. It was reported that she used various methods to harm the infants, like injecting them with oxygen and insulin, but also feeding them an excessive amount of milk. Lucy has since pleaded not guilty, and the case remains ongoing.
I'm not gonna lie, that's one of the scariest things ever. Like, even if you're an infant or an elder, I feel like just going to a hospital, you know what I'm saying, you're entrusting them with your life, and just for a nurse to be like, you know, today I kind of just feel like to just hurt people.
Who played Troy McClure in The Simpsons was brutally murdered, and no one believed it until they got proof. Phil Hartman had a distinctive voice. He was well known for playing numerous Simpsons characters such as Troy McClure, Lionel Hutz, and the man who was selling the monorail. He played loads of characters on show SNL and had roles in numerous films. He married his first wife, Gretchen Lewis, in 1970, and the pair got divorced just 2 years after. He then married again to Lisa Strain in 1982. He then again got divorced. In 1987, he married his third wife, former model Bryn Omdahl. They'd met on a blind date and he was infatuated with her. The pair had 2 children together, but the marriage had its challenges. Bryn was jealous of Phil's success and also extremely jealous of his exes. She once sent a very threatening letter to his ex-wife saying that she would rip her eyes out. She started drinking heavily and using substances, and although she had dreams of becoming an actress, she just couldn't live up to Phil's success. She ended up going to rehab several times. She would often have violent outbursts, and Phil was quite often terrified for the safety of his children. Now, interestingly, Phil actually became close friends with Joe Rogan, who did try and convince him to get a divorce. Unfortunately, though, he stuck with his wife, which proved to be fatal. On the 28th of May 1998, Bryn went to a restaurant to have drinks with a producer and a writer. After she got home, her and Phil had a heated argument before going to bed. Before 3 a.m, Bryn entered the room where Phil was sleeping after she had taken substances and been drinking. She shot him 3 times with a handgun. Still high, she drove to her friend's house where she told him that she'd killed her husband. Now, he actually didn't believe her, and he asked her to come with him back to the house so that he could confirm this. They drove to the house, and when he obviously saw Phil's body, he knew she was telling the truth. After finding Phil's body, he rang police. By the time officers had got to the property, Bryn had locked herself in the bedroom. She then unalived herself with the same weapon that she used on her husband. After the passing of both of their parents, the pair's children were looked after by Bryn's sister Catherine and her husband.
I can tell you right now, that woman was the problem.
It's the cowardly dog. There was only certain times when I feel like the villains or the characters in there were just too creepy.
For me, it was majority of them, I'm not gonna lie.
There was also this one where episode, like some creepy ass guy with a weird ass smile. Tormented. Courage? Yeah, you don't remember? He had like a weird ass smile. Still to this day, if I watch it, it kind of gives me a weird ass vibe, creepy vibe. Name of the episode is Freaky Fred. If I show you the picture of the character or the villain, you're gonna know who it is. Do you remember him? Yeah, bro. Do you remember what he said though? What was his famous line? I remember seeing this motherfucker, but I don't remember the episode. So supposedly this is Muriel's nephew, and he's a freaky barber, according to Eustace, right? And he's just this really weird like character who is obsessed with hair, but he's also obsessed with being naughty. But the way he says it sounds like a predator way, or yeah, it sounds mad fucking weird, bro, and it makes you feel uncomfortable.
Hello, new friend. My name is Fred. The words you hear are in my head, and I've been very naughty.
And he becomes very, very obsessed with courage, and he wants to cut his hair off.
The look upon my young love's face was sweet as lace.
Poor Courage, bro. I'll be feeling so bad for Courage.
I realized she...
That one episode is the one that freaked me out the most and shit like that. But it was actually inspired.
If I'm being real, she does look like she could have been a model for real.
What's going on here? Oh, mama.
Okay, I do not know what's going on right now. I heard a noise. I come outside. There's sirens blaring, and I see this huge trail in the sky.
Yes? The Captain, no police? Man. Everywhere, what's going on? And it's quiet, as if they're waiting for something.
It's midnight right now, and there's this huge trail like something crash landed. What the heck is that? What is this?
Expecting something, preparing for something. Look over here, let's walk over here. Come on, let's walk over here. Morning. Oh my God. You got all this? What's going on here? Let's go. Let's turn around, look at that again, man. Turn around, look at that. Let them see it. What's going on here? Oh.
Yeah, a lot of people believe that was aliens, but I don't know. I don't really feel like alien spaceships would have flames coming from them like that. Maybe I'm wrong. But I feel like it might have been something else, like a military something, you know? Like,
did you hear that there's something that was found in deep space and it's heading towards Earth?
The James Webb Telescope had spotted an armada of alien ships heading toward Earth.
Is it aliens? Well, according to the story, whatever this is, allegedly looks like this city-sized alien ship, some say in the shape of a cube, or even an armada of tightly clustered alien ships that were going in one direction. It was then observed making course corrections towards us near light speed. Course correcting isn't an observed natural phenomena for space objects like asteroids or other celestial bodies, and suggests technology. And people were saying that whatever this is would arrive to us in just a few years or maybe even a few weeks. Now, if you don't know, the James Webb Telescope is our best, most powerful telescope, which is out in space, and it was designed to look into deep space on the infrared spectrum. So what's going on? Well, the official story is that this whole thing started after a discussion on the Vetted podcast, talking about these alleged classified briefings happening within the government, as well as Lou Elizondo mentioning being aware of an object that was headed towards us. Now, debunkers say this is just not real. JWST isn't capable of detecting things like this, and if it was aliens, NASA and the government would tell us. So, in their view, it's debunked. But is it really? I'm not so sure. It's probably nothing, but let me know what you think in the comments.
well, the only way to true know is to find out in a couple weeks or a couple years, and I don't really know if I want to find out. But when I saw that video, there was comments talking about Project Bluebeam. And honestly, when I was looking at the Project Bluebeam, I was like, honestly, I would not doubt if this is what's truly going on. So we're going to take a look at that right now.
Project Bluebeam. By far the scariest years we may see. This conspiracy achieved its status in 1994 by a book that was written by Serge Monast. In the book, the writer describes how the United Nations, in collaboration with NASA's technology, will unite the whole world under a new false religion. But how? There will be, supposedly, an alien invasion, which is all part of the whole show, of course. And one day, a hero, a god, will come from the skies and destroy these aliens. And us, human beings, we will not believe our own eyes and start to worship this god. Whatever this god orders will happen. One world order. This is called the Project Bluebeam. Now, I don't believe that they have the technology that is capable of deceiving us yet, but in the near future, they might very well be able to make them. If you are a Muslim or a Christian, this whole show must ring a bell. This is the person we have been warned about more than 1,000 years ago. If this happens, this is the Dajjal, the Antichrist. Be prepared.
They did say that the Bible did have something about an Antichrist and everyone worshiping him before the real Christ come back or something like that. But I will say, Project Bluebeam seems so much more like realistic to me. There was literally an interview where a president was talking about how the world would be so much more united if an alien force attacks us. And it's true, so if they're trying to do that, I would not doubt that. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, ever since I watched that Neil deGrasse Tyson interview where he said that, like, how could aliens have so much technology that they could find Earth, but then get to Earth and then crash? It doesn't make sense, you know? So, I don't know, just something to think about. Let me know your guys' thoughts about that in the comments.
Thank you all for watching this here video. Please like and subscribe.